Salut, it's Alors, pour le deuxième cours aujourd'hui, I thought that the first hour is pretty intense. It's a lot of listening. It's a lot to get your head around the IRP. So for our second hour of lessons today, what I want to do is just give you some time, afford you some time to look at what you need to do for your homework. And I call it homework, but it really is independent work, just like you'd have to do at university when you have an essay. So I just want to talk you through what you need to do. I do some immediately in this hour, and then you need to do some over the course of the week to help you out. I just want to really clearly go through what you need to do this week so you get into the hang of it and you've got a really good idea. And so when we're back at school, we do our first IRP lesson, which will be the second hour. So when we're back at school, you'll have me for 2 hours. Second hour, we're going to do IRP. First hour at the start, we're going to do some exam preparation for obvious reasons. In that second hour, I just want you to be ready to make sure you guys have got it. So let's start like we always do. Donc, on va commencer comme toujours. Inventez les dates pour moi. Vous avez le titre du genre ici et mettez-moi sur pause. J'aime faire les contrôles de post-it pour commencer. Donc, on vient de faire un cours qui parlait de l'importance de vocabulaire. Donc, donnez-moi 5 mots alternatifs. Pas je pense que. Rapidement, give yourself 30 seconds. See how many you can name. I'm after 5 and then put me on pause while you do that, restart me, and I'll just talk about this very short video lesson and then what you've got to do for the next hour. Alors mes petits, how many did you get? I got 8. If you got any of these, bon effort mes petits. There's probably a few more that I've forgotten. Voilà, 5 alternatifs. You need to use alternative language, and the goal of last lesson was to make you think about that, thinking about synonyms, think about the quality that you can do. But that is a huge part of your exam. But the most important thing for your speaking exam is if you get the right question, you get the right research, then you can't get a bad mark. I've seen people get good marks with bad questions and bad research, but it's a lot harder. If you've got the question right, you're going to fly in this exam, and that's what we're going to do today. So for this hour, I wanted to afford you a bit of time to determine your project, or at least to get an idea of it, and then think about your key statement and talk about why you want to do it. So today's lesson, for this hour, I just want your project proposal form, which is brief and quick, and just to give me an idea of what you want for your project so I can approve it or tell you how I change it or say don't do that, it's rubbish. So let's have a little look. Alors, right guys, so I sent you in a post a project book. Be kind to that because they're quite expensive, and I sent you a big project book that I've printed out for you with everything you need with all your flip homeworks in. So this is the start of flip homework 1, and it's got the vocabulary. Here you've got it all blanked out, all the French is blanked out. I've given you the English, and all you need to do is test yourself by filling this in. To do that, you can do it the classic way of learning it, but the best way to do it is to get on Memorize. Expressing your viewpoint is here, so spend 10 minutes on this and then test yourself. Countering an argument is here. Spend 10 minutes on this, test yourself. That's what you need to do, because this vocabulary isn't for like a test next lesson. There is a test next lesson, but it's mainly for you to be able to use this in your speaking exams. You need it in your long-term memory. So that's what you need to do. That is going to be for homework. Don't spend this hour doing the vocabulary. You've got more important things to do in the immediate. And this is what I want you to do for this hour. So listen really carefully. You, in this hour, are going to be choosing your project. Now, that might sound daunting. You might think, oh God, this is my A-level. Don't think like that. Don't worry about it, because whatever you choose, I'm going to change it. I'm going to tweak it to make sure it fits into the exam mark scheme, because you don't know what the exam mark scheme wants, but I do. So if you say you want to do French rap music in the 90s, I'm going to say, why the 90s? Why in particular the 90s? What about this? What about that? And I'm gonna change it. So what about the impacts of this? What about the impacts of that? So you've got to tell me what to do. Choose your projects, but be prepared for it to be changed by me. When you're choosing, and I've given you on this sheet, I've given you some things that you could do, and then over here, this is a list of old projects people have done, or projects people have had approved, but then they've changed their minds or whatever. These are like tried and tested. They've got some bullet points for you to show what it's like. And then, I mean, for Front National, there is a booklet, but you've not started studying at that yet, so I wouldn't really do it. And then I've got some articles here for you guys to look at. If you want to choose one of these, you're allowed. But to be honest, the best thing for you to do is choose something you're interested in and you're passionate about. So if you've got a passion for rap music, that's great. Choose that. You might not know a lot about French rap, but this is a chance to learn it, and that's what this is all about, to learn about a different type of rap music and then the different roots and that sort of thing. Easy. So my advice to you, choose something you're interested in, choose something you're passionate about, because this is a lot of work. And if you enjoy it and you read about it and you think this is really interesting, you're going to do better than if you sort of choose something, say from this list over here, that you're not really asked about, and then you're like, I'll choose that because it's simple, I've got the articles already. It might be quicker in the short term, but in the long term, are you going to love this? Are you going to be so passionate that when it comes to your A-level speaking exam, you can talk about it for 15 minutes? Think about that. Remember, make your job easy when you email to me. It's got to have strong links into the wider French society. So if you want to do rap music and you say, I want to talk about like the impact of Dr. Dre, he's American, it's not going to happen. It's got to be French society. Make sure you've got that idea. So your task for today is to choose your project. Look at these 2 pages to help you. When you think you know what to do, have a look at the next page, which I'll explain on the next slide. Et voilà, so this is your project proposal form. What I want you to do today in this hour is think about what project you want to do. You don't have to do any research yet. Think about what project you want to do and the sort of things you want to discuss, and then I want you to fill out this form. You can fill it out straight on Word, or you can write it out, whatever, I really don't mind. Do that this hour. Fill in the subject, so what you want to talk about: French, rap, racism, immigration in France, whatever. And then what key question would you have? So I've got the example here. Pourquoi est-ce que le Rassemblement National est si populaire en France? So why is Rassemblement National popular in France? You could have, what has been the impact of French rap music, or anything like a nice general question that you're going to aim to answer with your research. Then, this is the important bit for me. Expliquez pourquoi vous voulez faire ce sujet. What is it about this subject that you're interested in? Tell me. Now make that pop, year 12, because that's what's going to make me decide whether this is a good project for you or a bad one. If you just say like, oh yeah, I'm interested in World War II, I'm going to say, well, why? What about it interests you? So make it pop. Why do you want to talk about this? What is your passion? What do you like? And you don't have to show you've got a knowledge of French. So if you say, I just love rap music, it's just I listen to it every day, and fine, like, but make sure it's convincing. You don't have to fill all this out either. Just a brief overview will be fine. Sous-titres possible. So you need, when it comes to the exam, you need 6 subtitles that you're going to discuss. So say for immigration, before we've had one subtitle has been like laïcité and the impact of that on immigrants, and there's been unemployment and the job market, and facts like if you've got an Arabic name in France, it's 3 times harder to get a job. And those were the subtitles. So what subtitles could you do? So say if you did rap, you could do rap music in the 90s. You could do francophone rap in the wider French-speaking world, so African rap and the impact on African countries and that sort of thing, impact on youth culture. Those are the things I'm looking for. And then, comment est-ce que la question clé se focalise sur la société française? Remember in the last video, I said it's all about talking about French society, French culture. That's what's going to make the difference. So tell me, explain to me, and again, you don't have to fill all this out. Just briefly tell me, how does this look at French society? For some things, that'll be easy, because if you say, so I'm discussing immigration in France, so how does it impact on French society? I'm looking at French laws, I'm looking at French studies, I'm looking at French history. Like that's what I want. Talk about how it's going to look at French society. And if you're struggling to fill in that last box and think, how does this really fit into France and the society and culture and history, then your project's probably wrong. Think of that. So guys, what we need to do after you've done that, email it me. It doesn't have to be in the hour. I mean, it'd be sweet for me if it would, because it gives you more time to look at it. But make sure you email it me as soon as you're happy with this project proposal, because I need to look at it before you do anything else. I want to look at it. I want to check it. I want to make sure I'm happy with it. And you're not allowed to move on until I've said, this is good. Start your research. Alors, last point from me then, because you've listened so much today in the previous video, and it's all been in English. It's been very bored teaching and learning, but this is how we have to do this. So your homework then, once I come back and say that's a great project, you can start on that. You need to start looking for your articles. Now, finding articles, as I've said here, that are good and worthwhile is the toughest thing about the IRP. And like usually people have read like 20 articles and I say that one's good, the rest of them rubbish. They're not rubbish, they've still given you some information and some background, but they're not going to help you for the IRP. So what I want you to do is start looking at articles. When I know what you're studying, just email me for help. I can look up some articles and bless you, I can read them in French faster than you and find out if they're good or not, because reading articles in French is a really high level task, which is why you're doing it for your A-level speaking. So email me for help, find the articles. My little tip to you, look for things that you want to talk about. So say if you're doing racism in France, look for an article written by someone who's attacking the racial policies in France, because that'll give you loads and loads of information. So look at something vocal like that. So I'd like Google like negatives of French immigration policy in French on French Google, put google.fr and put les aspects négatifs de la politique d'immigration en France. Boom, search that and see what you get. Use google.fr, only French sources, and that will be a great start, because it will be a more controversial article that'll be attacking something. It'll be easy to argue for or against or whatever. And then I want you to, and it says this really clearly in the homework, do a PowerPoint presentation on it. I've given you 7 questions. These will increase as the weeks go. So 7 questions. All you need to do once you've got a good article is talk about this and make sure you can answer these questions. So what have you chosen to study and why? That's obviously you've done that in the thing you've sent me. What are you hoping to achieve? So you want to learn more about French rap, you want to learn more about French culture in this. What article have you found? And then the main articles. So you need to complete this, tell me about your article, and then do the writer's main points, what points they're doing. You can bullet point this. What's your personal reaction? Do you agree with the writer? Do you disagree? What do you like? What don't you? What subtitles does this give you? So say if it is about immigration and they're attacking laïcité, not wearing a headscarf, and they say for Muslim people this is a real attack on their culture, saying you can't be French and Muslim because the two ideas don't link, and you know, do you agree with that? Don't you? What's the subtitles? Would laïcité make it? And then you won't be able to fill this out yet, but once you've got a few articles you'll be able to link them together, just like your English poetry anthology. This links with this and this links with that. That's what this will be like. We'll link them all up so you can get some more ideas. So guys, that's what to do for the second hour of like our week of our lessons online today. Make sure you run it. Any questions, big or small? What's wrong with me? Any questions, big or small, just send me an email and we can sort it out. Alors mes petits, right guys, you've listened really hard today. Work hard on this. Any questions, email me. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks, guys. Alors donc, à la prochaine fois. Merci et au revoir.